Good morning, everyone. Welcome in to Mornings with Loretta. And yes, I'm excited because I'm a movie buff and I am talking about a movie genre we don't talk about enough as I'm concerned, and that's superhero movies. So we have somebody that's really top in the game for me when it comes to that. Everybody, welcome producer, director, writer, Joe Mendez. Hi there.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited about this conversation. So, you have directed some really iconic shows like the Star Trek and all of that. So, what drew you to this Henry Danger, the movie, and how is it different from anything else you've produced?
Well, it's definitely different than anything else I produced, but I got my start in earnest with Nickelodeon 25 years ago. I directed a show called Brothers Garcia. So really, I got my start in earnest in the family space. So, and I did that for a number of years. And then in sort of the last 10 to 12 to 13 years, I've gone off and done sort of drama and horror and action and sci-fi. Which I love, which I'm a big old nerd. So for me, that's always been my sort of sweet spot to do all that. However, I've always loved the family space, and I've always loved to go back into that world. So Henry Danger, the movie, to me was the perfect fusion of my two loves, basically, of the family space and of the big action scopy visual effects space. So for me, when they came to me with the script, it was making an elevated superhero movie version of the sitcom. So everything that I've done in Star Trek and Snowpiercer and Evil and those shows, while those aren't family shows, I was able to bring those elements into this movie so that it felt like a superhero movie, like a big elevated action-packed superhero movie, while retaining the sense of humor from the series.
I'm so excited. And tomorrow is the day, right? January the 17th. They can find it on Nickelodeon, Paramount Plus. But let me ask you, how did you approach balancing the humor, the fun, and the action in Henry Danger?
That's a great question. Chris Nowak and Jake Farrow, who were executive producers on the series, wrote the script, and we had a lot of conversations about how to tonally make it a movie and not a sitcom. In the sitcom space, it's a multicam show. It's a proscenium show. It's done with 4 cameras. It's 22 minutes. There's a certain style to that humor that's a bit more rat-a-tat-tat. Whereas in a movie, then we had to sort of slightly change tonally how we tell the movie, because that kind of energy and that kind of pace in a movie could feel manic. So there was a lot of conversations about how to retain or maintain the humor. So we went sort of because they know these characters, they know how to write the dialogue for these characters. But we found a sort of Monty Python-esque kind of take with a lot of the humor. There's the same sort of witty banter that Chris Nowak and Jake Farrell are very good at doing, and then making things feel like it's grounded in some sort of reality, so that we have a lot of heart, and there's certainly a lot of humor, there's a lot of action, but I think what viewers are going to find really surprising is that there's also a lot of heart, and it's something that's going to hit you in the feels, I think, at some point, because it really is a movie about fandom, but really it's about friendship, and I think that's the thing that people are going to be surprised when they see the movie.
Okay, so surprise, I love that word because it leads me to this next question. So what about the alternate realities? How does that come to play? And was that your idea? I think it's brilliant.
No, it is brilliant. I wish I could say it was my idea, but it was Chris Nowak and Jake Farrell. That's the script that I got. So it was an opportunity to sort of tell 5 little mini movies, each with their own look and each with their own sort of take. And so for us, it was just an interesting kind of idea. Like, what happens if there's a fan who's so obsessed with Kid Danger, and she's been writing all this fan fiction for years? And what happens if Kid Danger gets sucked into her fan fiction, and now they can't get out of it, and they're stuck, and they go from one fan fiction to another, to different stories over and over and over. And that just became rich with opportunities for humor, but for set pieces and for action. So there is going to be a lot of surprises in that.
I love that so much. In addition to the fun, the humor, there's also a story that's really resonating with me, and I'm pretty sure it's going to resonate with families and kids too. And that's the concept and the theme of heroism and friendships when we're seeing a lot of TV that's kind of like counterproductive to that. So my question is, how did you ensure it felt fresh and genuine, engaging for the fans that are going to be watching?
Well, the first thing that they're going to see is that all of these characters are older. So like Jace Norman is 24 years old. Like he's got a beard. Sean Ryan Fax has a beard. Like Ella Anderson is a grown woman. So you definitely see that they've grown up, and we address that in the movie, and we talk about what happens in a friendship, or in this case in a partnership, because the movie takes place a few years after the series ended, where they're living in dystopia. They're a crime fighting team, and sort of Henry's become the famous one. He's sort of the face of superhero-dom. Yet Jasper's the one doing all the work and getting no credit for it. And so it causes a rift with these friends. And so we use the alternate realities, sort of like what was used in It's a Wonderful Life, where George Bailey sort of gets to see what his life would have been like had he not lived. Henry Hart kind of realizes the true meaning of friendship. It's not just a romp into these different worlds, just to kind of see different worlds. What you're going to see is that with each world that he goes into, he starts valuing his friends and starts realizing how much they're willing to sacrifice for him. So at the end, what the audience is going to see is that sometimes our best friends are right in front of us. Sometimes the people that love us most are right in front of them, and we take them for granted. And that's sort of the journey that Henry goes on during this movie.
Oh, I love that. I cannot wait to see this movie. And I will be in front of a TV somewhere, definitely. So when you saw the pitch for it, or the script, how did you feel knowing your previous background with some extraordinary, iconic titles? How did you feel about this being different, and that it was previously done in a different way? What was your mindset? How did you immediately say, oh, I know I can add this, or I'm going to talk to them and we're going to talk about this?
Well, Henry Danger, the series, like what I loved about the series was how ambitious it was. Like every time that whenever I watched an episode, it was always sort of like busting at the seams of ambition. Like it wanted to do big set pieces. It wanted to do, and it did, and it pulled off a good amount of really ambitious things, but it was still sort of in the confines, if you will, of a multi-camera show, like a 4-camera proscenium sitcom, can only do so much. In a movie, we could do anything. We could do like legit action scenes. We could do legit visual effects stuff that they couldn't do in the sitcom. So for me, that was the very first thing that I said that I wanted to bring to this, was make a legit elevated superhero movie, and finally be able to do the things that maybe the sitcom wanted to do or aspired to do, but couldn't do. But in this format, as a movie, we absolutely could do. So that's what you're going to see. The biggest differences are going to be is that it's going to feel like a legit superhero movie. And so for me, the sitcom and the movie, they're like cousins. They're related, but they're different.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm intrigued by superhero movies. I got to tell you, actually, one of my sons is working on a script for one from a book he did. So I'm not tired of them. I could watch superhero movies all the time. Are you feeling that there's some kind of superhero fatigue, though? Because we have them in so many different genres. I think what the world needs now is more superheroes. What do you say when people feel like is too much, or not, or we need something else?
I think, like you said, I think the world needs superheroes. I think with everything that's going on in the world, it's kind of nice to have somebody, that is fighting for good. I think it's not so much superhero fatigue. I think if you tell the same superhero movie with different characters, I think that's where it gets tiresome. What we're doing with our superhero movie is, again, telling it from a very unique standpoint, so that it feels a little fresh. That's what we hope, is that it feels fresh and it feels new. And part of it is that it's leaning on the friendship, and it's leaning on the sort of love between these characters. We certainly have big epic superhero fights and superhero moments, but it's about the characters. And I think that's going to be the difference.
I agree with you. And again, I don't think we have enough superhero movies. And especially with you, Joe, being a part of this and bringing all your insight, your experience, and that magnificent brain that you have when it comes to producing, writing, and directing this film. I would love to see a number two. I don't know if there's talks already, but I know you got to go. We'll talk about the second sequel or what else you are doing in the future. But I want to encourage everybody to please be in front of a TV somewhere with Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon. Joe, thank you so much for being our guest this morning.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. I hope you enjoy the movie.
I will. I'll let you know how much I enjoy it. Have a great day.
Please do. Please do. All right.
All right. Bye-bye. So Joe has to go, but I'm telling you, Henry Danger, the movie, the first series hit like in 2014. Now they're making the series, a TV series, into a magnificent movie. And again, I tell you, I think we don't have enough superhero movies. I'm glad that they chose Joe Menendez to do this movie, because we need this. Is no greater time than now to have more superhero movies. So I hope you enjoyed the interview. We do have more coming up, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Don't forget to set your alarm, your timer, your calendar to watch Henry Danger, the movie, on Paramount Plus and Nickelodeon. We'll be right back in just a moment.